Yo, 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 Professor McStud is in the house. We're talking about factoring with the greatest common factor. So we learned how to do greatest common factor. Now we're going to see what that looks like as far as factoring that out. So what that means is that I'm going to find two factors, basically to multiply together to get me what I have. And so this is kind of what all of this stuff is going to. So let's look and see how this looks out. So to factor with the greatest common factor, you're going to find the greatest common factor. So identify it, like we just now did. Divide the polynomials by this greatest common factor, and then write the result form in factored form. So here we go. Here's step one. We're going to find the greatest common factor first. So looking at those numbers, looks like it's going to be 4. So the greatest common factor here is going to be 4. So I have 4. And then remember the lowest power of your exponent, which would be 4x. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to take each one of these and you're going to divide it by 4x. When I do that, I'm going to get a 4x squared and a 9. Now there's a plus sign here, so it's a positive 9. So now then, so that's all I did is I divided both of those by 4x, my greatest common factor. So if I do 4x times that, then that would be my factored form. So if I multiplied 4x times this, this should be my answer, 16x to the third plus 36x. Okay, so we got there. So now let's look at this. So let's look at example 2 here. We're going to find the greatest common factor here. I think it's going to be 9. The beautiful thing about this is that if there's not 9 inside my parentheses when I write the factored form, there will be another greatest common factor. So I'm going to double check on that. So I think it's going to be 9. So my greatest common factor here is going to be 9 as far as the coefficients go. And then I have x, y, both powers of 1 right there. So I'm going to divide each one of these factors. I'm going to divide it by 9xy. When that happens, I'm left with just 2 in that one. All that it was 2. And then plus, so I'm left 12, and then x to the third y. Now you can see here, these factors have a common factor. So I'm not done. I need to multiply that. Or I need to actually divide each one of those by 2. So I didn't do, this 9 isn't big enough. It has to be 18xy. I'm left with 1 plus 6 x to the third y. So what happened here, I took the 2 that was a common factor here and multiplied it by my coefficient out here in front, and that left me with that 18. Then I divided each of these by 2, and that's how I got this. So here is my fully factored form. So that's what makes this nice. So some of you were stressing out about finding the GCF before. Well, now you can kind of see if you did that GCF right. So let's look at this one here. This will probably be the most common way that you'll factor by greatest common factor, but there may be some other ways doing that too. So greatest common factor here looks like it's going to be 5, and then lowest exponent is going to be 1 there. So 5x. So I'm going to divide each factor by 5x, each one of these. Each one of them I'm going to divide by 5x. That's my greatest common factor. So I'm left with 3x squared plus 5x minus 9. That is factoring out by greatest common factor. This is a key component of being able to factor, being pretty proficient in factoring. Last one here, we're looking at our numbers here and here. So I'm left with probably greatest common factor there's going to be 3. So I have 3 lowest power x, y. Divide each of those by my greatest common factor. I'm left with 4y. There's that x gets divided out, makes 0. So the x one's going to be 0, so that becomes 1 minus 5x squared. Again, the y divides out, and that goes there. So this here would be factored by greatest common factor. So that's what I have for you, greatest common factor and factoring. You can do, this is a great built-in check system is that you can multiply that out, and you should get this every single time. When you take the factors and you multiply them out, you should get your original equation. So that was just, it's just essentially dividing, and then you can go through and multiply it out, should get the same answer. So make sure that you're doing that, double check, like I said, again, this is kind of a key here, showing you, that greatest common factor. You can double check and make sure you did it right. All right, so that's what I have for you by factoring through GCF.